Hi, my name is Cory Van Zytveld, and I'm a historic interpreter at the Littleton Museum. Today I will be talking to you about milk paint. Milk paint is one of the oldest forms of paint known to man. As long as man has had domesticated animals that produce milk, they have been able to make milk paint, and it can be found in some of the oldest cave paintings that we know that go back thousands of years ago. Those people who made those paintings used milk paint. All paint is made up of 3 different ingredients. It includes the binder, which holds everything together, the solvent, which smooths it and allows it to flow onto whatever surface you're painting on, and the pigment, which is the color. In milk paint, we have 3 different ingredients, and those 3 different ingredients make up those 3 different properties of paint. To begin with, I have my milk. And for this, I am using skim milk. In a lot of the 1890s recipes I found, they called from skim milk. Modern recipes of milk paint oftentimes call for cheese curds. I did find one historic recipe with cheese curds, but I decided since most of them called for just plain skim milk, I would use skim milk. The next thing that I have is lime. Now, there are different kinds of lime. Lime, when it comes out of the ground, needs to be processed. To do that, what they'll do is they'll actually cook it in a big kiln, and that turns it into quick lime, which quick lime can be kind of dangerous because it's highly reactive to water. So if I were to mix quick lime with water, it would get really hot, and if you're not careful, it could burn things, it could light things on fire. What I have here is hydrated lime. It's lime that has gone through that process. It's no longer quick lime, and it's safe. So I can mix this safely with my milk. Historically, you would probably be using quick lime, and you'd have to let it go through the process, interact with the milk, and that would be just wait for it to go through that process. We'll mix this all together. I may have to do a little bit more of that later. And then finally, I have my pigment, or my color. And while I'm doing this, I am going to put this over my face because pigment is a dust and it can get into your lungs and cause a lot of problems. So I will do that right now. So I'll just put a little bit in there and stir it up. Once I get the powder out of there, I can take off my face covering. And you can see it's starting to get kind of red. I think I'm gonna need more lime. And really I should have had my mask on when I did the lime too. So I'm gonna put a little bit more lime in here. And this will give me quite a thin paint. Now that my dust is all mixed in there, another thing that historic recipes called for was Spanish white, or Spanish whiting, and I didn't know what that was. And I had to do some research. I figured out that it would be chalk, a ground up fine chalk that you could put in there, and this would be called the extender. And the extender would just make it a little bit thicker, make it easier to work with, so you're not using quite so much lime in there. Now I don't have chalk, so I'll just make it thicker with my lime, and I can do it that way. Getting back to the 3 parts of the paint, remember I said we had the binder, the solvent, and the pigment. In here we have 3 different ingredients, but they kind of interact interesting to make those 3 different things. So the milk, there's a protein in the milk called the casein. That is combining with the lime to make the binder and hold it all together. The liquidy part of the milk, it would be the solvent, and that's what you can dissolve your pigment into. And like I said, it extends it allows you to cover a surface. Why do I need these 3 different kinds of paint, or 3 different ingredients in paint? The reason for that is if I took the pigment and I mixed it with water, sure, I could paint it on my wall, but I would walk by, every time I would walk by that wall, I would get pigment on my clothing. It wouldn't hold onto the wall. And so that's where the binder comes in. That's what binds it to whatever surface I'm using. So for example, I could paint my little top here. To show you how my milk paint works, I will take my paintbrush and I'll paint it onto this top here. And as you can see, the color is sticking. Once this dries, this will actually stay painted for a long time. This type of paint could have been used or was used in interiors, so on doors or chairs, things like that. Also on exteriors. Some buildings actually have milk paint on them from a long time ago. And it all depends on the surface that it's painted on and the environment that it's in. You can finish milk paint with any wax or covering a coating that you'd like to make it softer. It's a very kind of it's almost a chalky feel in the milk paint here. So you can see I've painted this toy. This big boat, I suspect, was painted in milk paint. It's a little worn off now because it's gotten a lot of use, but I could repaint over this. The nice thing about milk paint is it can go on most surfaces, and oftentimes it doesn't need to be sanded or primed. So it's a really diverse paint that you can make at home. Today, we actually can buy milk paint at the store. I have a few examples of how the milk paint comes. They come in these little containers, and all you have to do for this is add water. And milk paint is pretty expensive, but it is something that you can just buy at the store or on the internet on your own now, if you don't want to go through the trouble of making it yourself. However, it's super easy. I would highly recommend giving milk paint a try the next time you paint a room or maybe paint some furniture. This is a really fun thing to do. Thank you for joining me today as I explored milk paint. If you'd like to find out more information, a recipe on milk paint where you can buy store-bought milk paint, please visit the City of Littleton website under the Littleton Museum page to find that information. Thank you so much.